sorry that took so long. um, I see we have 3 viewers. That's lovely. I'm assuming they can all hear me right now. If can the 3 people let me know in the chat if they can hear me? That would be nice. Can they let me know if they can hear the music also? Cause I can't. Just very strange. I opened YouTube and the music just stopped. So I don't know if I can hear myself or if anyone can hear me. Uh, it says that everything is working. Um, we cannot take it. Okay, no music. Okay, that's so weird. Huh. So let me first of all, hi everybody. Um I'm sorry you cannot see me. That will change in just a moment. Um hmm. So bro, you got a newsie in the chat? Heck yeah, we do. Um I'm sorry. I just really want there to be music. Um let's try if I go to here, let's just try. Alrighty, let's just try this. So if we do boom, hello. Hi, look at this. Look at this all fancy smanchy. I got my own webcam now. I got this mic, this external microphone. I'm at a desk. I'm not in like a crazy like a small chair. Um, this is nice. This is comfortable for me. So give me 1 second, and I will see if I can add what we were just listening to. It's my face. How crazy is that? Um, give me 1 second. Copy link. So we're going to add browser source. I'm not entirely sure how this whole like browser source thing works. Hold on. Remove. Yes. This is a very exciting stream so far. I'm so sorry. I thought I was prepared, but I am not. No. And new source. Let's see if this works. Ah, you're not supposed to be seeing that. There we go. No? Still not working, huh? It's not working for me. I'm assuming it's not working for you guys. Can you guys not hear it? Oh, shit! Fuck. That really sucks. I'm sorry about cursing. I do that quite frequently. But if anyone is into baseball here, I don't know if anybody is, but I'm a Red Sox fan and we just traded our catcher. Only for prospects, which really blows. Especially because we're literally playing them in like an hour. Was he even in the lineup? This is very no music still. Shit. So we might just not have music. Um, yeah, he was in the lineup. So that's weird. Is that a lie or what? That's wild. So I might be slightly distracted during this now because apparently we just traded away our catcher. If you're not into baseball, this might just not mean anything to you. I'm sorry about that. Um, I'm also sorry that there's no music. I'm not into bass by myself, but I'll listen to folks talk about anything they're passionate about. I am also one of those people. Um, yeah, I have no idea why there really should be music playing. Um, as I like opened YouTube and it immediately got rid of it all. This is very weird. This is weird. But I was planning on stopping the music anyway. Um, once we got to 0 for 2, not baseball fans of the chat, sorry. That's alright. I know a lot of people who are not into baseball, but it's great. It's very relaxing and nerve wracking at the same time. But I've been off topic for all 11 minutes that we've been streaming. First is about first is about what might not allow music for copyright. I'm not sure if that's how it works because I was playing a YouTube video. I wasn't streaming from Spotify. I was streaming from YouTube. Um, and it just like for some reason the audio just stopped. It was very strange. Anyway, uh, none of that, none of the music nor the baseball is why we are here today. I'm here because this is a continuation of you can see there's a laundry basket on my bed. That's laundry that I have to do. I'm a very put together person, as you can tell by my room and the fact that I spend a bunch of money on Blu-rays. Um, and that helps my case, definitely. Anyway, hello. Welcome to the second Criterion Christmas. This is exciting. I did this last December after the November Criterion sale, and it was a lot of fun. It's not July anymore. It's the first day of August, which is kind of a shame because I wanted to do, Christmas in July, but I figured this is close enough, and the Criterion sale was in July, so it's pretty much the same thing. I'm trying to see how this looks. Wow, that looks not great. I'm looking at this stream right now, both via Streamlabs and on my YouTube channel. On my YouTube channel, I look like shit. um, I don't know if it's the webcam or I just might have shitty lighting. But I look wide. I look like really wide on YouTube. Strange. Anyway. Yeah, so if I think both people, there are two people watching right now. I think you were both here the last time I did this. I've done this before. It was a I bought a bunch of Blu-rays from something called the Criterion Collection, which is collection of Blu-rays, and other and DVDs, and they just expanded to 4K Ultra HD, which is something that seems very expensive, and I'm not sure if I could even play it on my computer, so I have not bought any of those, but I do have Blu-rays, and I shared all of them. I shared all the movies and the thoughts that I have about them, why I bought them, why I bought movies that I haven't watched before, and you know, bought movies that I have watched before and shared why I love them, and it was very fun. I had a really good time doing that, and so I figured I might as well do it again because I had a really good time doing it last time. I bought quite a bit, both during the July sale and also this. There was a Criterion flash sale, which is basically, they had like a day where they had 50% off, and so I bought some stuff then. I also these are not all Criterions. I know that's kind of off-brand, but they're not all Criterions. There's well, you'll see. There's some stuff that they're like all special editions, but just not Criterions. So yeah, I wanted to start with there's these ones on my desk. I wanted to start with them because I talked about them last time. You can see the sunlight is escaping into my bedroom, making the lighting probably look even worse. But so these four, there's Paths of Glory, House, Failsafe, and Being There. These are the four films that I shared last time, but I hadn't watched them when I shared them, and I still haven't watched them. From my experience, 4K Ultra HD isn't much of a price hike from the standard Blu-rays. They're mostly upscaled during to standard quality Ultra HD TVs. It's more about being able to play them, because 4K Ultra HD players cost a lot of money, especially if you mainly watch stuff on a laptop, which is how I usually watch movies. They're not that much. They're like $5 extra, I think. But yeah. Anyway, these are the four movies that I talked about last time that I still haven't seen. I'm deeply ashamed that I haven't watched any of them. As I talked about last time, I had reasons for buying all of these despite not having seen them. Paths of Glory is a Stanley Kubrick movie. House is just a Japanese horror film that I heard so many good things about, and so I really wanted to watch it, and it has like a really big cult following. I'm upset I haven't watched it. Failsafe is directed by Sidney Lumet, and it's supposedly a lot like Doctor Strangelove. And Sidney Lumet directed 12 Angry Men, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. And Being There, I've literally picked this up, thought maybe I should watch this today, and then it was just like, no. That's how, like, because Hal Ashby directed Harold and Maude, which is like my third favorite movie ever. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna close my blinds real quick. I don't like the way. There we go. Look at that. Even just doing that makes it look so much better. Right? Yeah, look at that. I actually look like a person and not like, I don't know. Can you still hear me from here? Type in the chat if you can still hear me from here. Anyway. I think that makes it look a little bit better. That's just me. The only source of light I have is my bedroom light. It's not very professional. But yeah, I just wanted to start with those four, because I wanted to get my shame out of the way for not having watched them. I will, I promise. You can still hear me from there? That's cool. So Anyway, now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the movies that I either haven't seen but I haven't talked about before, or the movies that I have seen. And there's quite a few. Quite a few that I didn't have last time. There are also some that I did have last time but I haven't seen, and have since watched. So, yeah, let's talk about that. There was also a comment on the last video, about Letterboxd. I keep track of all the movies I watched through Letterboxd. If I don't know if anyone would be interested in that. Letterboxd is kind of I have a weird relationship with it because I really it feels like it feels bad being on Letterboxd because I don't know, it just feels like it's social mediaizing film criticism, which I'm not a fan of. But if you're interested in, I don't do any reviews. I just kind of like log the movies that I watch, and give them like star ratings. So you guys have Letterboxd Subway guy. That is something that we heard on the subway once, and that comment also totally gave away who that person is in the comments, and I'm glad that happened because I don't think they're here right now, but last time we did this, there was a guy who was stalking my Instagram, who like had also like Jack Kelly, who usually comes to like all my streams, despite the fact that we haven't. I think we met in person like once in Pittsfield, but I really appreciate you coming here, and you're always lovely to talk to and lovely to be in the chat. You're not already. Your username is literally is K, dude. I don't like. I had no idea. Flashbacks to when I was on Mal. I'm also on Mal. It's that, yeah. It's basically the same thing, and it's horrible. But there was last time we did this, there was somebody who just made me very uncomfortable in how they use social media to contact me, and they were in the chat, and they were also saying things that were slightly off color, and I hashtag her again. Your name is K. Anyway, yeah, I was kind of hoping that he doesn't show again. If he does, I'll probably just ban him and then block him on Instagram. But anyway, again, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the movies. No worries, dude. I love hanging out. Thank you. I appreciate that. Anyway, let's talk about some movies. So the first one I have here is 8.5. Again, lighting is a little weird, but you can see it. 8.5. So I bought this just recently in the July sale for Criterion. I haven't seen it still. I bought it because Federico Fellini is like the Italian director. He's just like I feel he's not only is he like the main guy I hear when people talk about Italian movies, he's also like your favorite director's favorite director. Like whenever like people talk about directors that they love, whether they're like actors or directors or just like film critics, it's always Fellini. This is not like his most famous film. I don't even know if he has like a most famous film. He has like a lot of very well-known films, but this one I wanted because it's about a film director. It is also one of his most famous films. It's also just the one that I had heard the most about. The Criterion YouTube channel has this series called The Criterion Closet, and they every time somebody like pulls this out and just talks about it at least. So I had heard a lot about it, and I figured I'd get it. I still haven't seen it. I was planning on watching it at some point in London, but by the way, I just came back from the United Kingdom. It was lovely. I had a great time. Um, I'll talk more about it, but I was planning on watching it at some point during that trip, but I didn't. I did watch a couple of movies though. This just wasn't one of them. Um, anyway, I'm also slightly paying attention to the Red Sox at the moment, even though the game hasn't started. But yeah, 8.5. I'm really looking forward to watching this movie. I'm glad I finally own it. It's been on my wish list for a long time. The next one is Amores Perros, by Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu. Um, I love Iñárritu. I have seen both of his. I don't know if they're his only English language films, but they're the films that he won the Oscar for, which is Birdman or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance and The Revenant. Both are really great in their own right. They're fantastic movies. And they're kind of what put me on his radar. He's also like part of this like trio of Mexican cinema directors who have all kind of moved into mainstream Hollywood filmmaking, and that's this Alfonso Cuarón and GDT Guillermo del Toro. I bought one of each. I bought one film by each director in this most recent sale. This was my Iñárritu film. I'm really looking forward to watching it. I still haven't seen it. I've heard great things. I love Iñárritu. I love Birdman. Love The Revenant. I'm really looking forward to watching this movie. It looks really good. I just haven't gotten around to watching it because I just bought it. Barry Lyndon, a film I have seen. I hadn't the last time we did this, but I've seen it now. This is Stanley Kubrick. It's funny because this film is over 3 hours long, and I did watch it, and I watched it before Paths of Glory, which is under an hour and a half, if I'm not mistaken. I usually prefer under an hour and a half movies to movies that are 3 hours, and yet I watched the 3 hour one first. I watched this on not my vacation to the UK, but actually my vacation right before the last Criterion Christmas, which was, we went to St. Martin, which was very fun. I watched it in 2 sittings, once on a plane and then the other in like a hotel, I think. It's a really good movie. Entertaining for the full 3 hours. It's beautiful. It looks gorgeous. I feel like it's 3 hours and it took 2 sittings, which was was kind of like held it back from being like an amazing movie. It's not my favorite Kubrick movie, and the reason is because it's 3 hours, but it's really good. It's really funny. Ryan O'Neal. I don't know why I said Patrick O'Neal. Ryan O'Neal does a really good job as Barry Lyndon. It's just it's Kubrick. It's a good movie. Yeah, I recommend it if you have 3 hours to spare. Yeah, I really like it. And what is the like it's like Kubrick recreated the decadent surfaces and intricate social codes of the period, evoking the light and texture of an 18th century painting. So someone in the chat I know is an art history major. And I'd be curious if you would be willing to watch this or maybe not the whole thing, but just like a couple scenes from it, and see if that holds up, if it's actually like an 18th century painting and it looks like that. Anyway, it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. Anyway, I'm still paying attention to baseball news, kind of. Next is Belle, our first anime. Let's do it. Hell yeah. I had to watch the Hateful Eight extended cut in 3 sessions. That was maybe like 4.5 hours. Quentin Tarantino is a guy, isn't he? Anyway, Belle, our first anime movie, and not the last. There are quite a few. So I have a collection of steelbooks, and I believe all of them are anime films. Because G Kids, who distributes these films, does steelbooks. And they're lovely. They look nice. So Belle is a special film for me. I have a lot. I have a lot to say about it. It's not a perfect movie. It was directed by Mamoru Hosoda. If you've seen Summer Wars or Wolf Children, or he's done a couple franchise films. He did Mirai, The Boy and the Beast, The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. This is his most recent one, and I was really looking forward to watching it because it got like a really long-standing ovation at Cannes. I saw it in theaters in IMAX, and I also got that poster. You see that one right there? I got that at the theater for going to see it. And I loved it. I loved this movie, despite the fact that I think in some places it's incredibly corny and also not a good movie. But I also think in a lot of areas it's really good. Excuse me. And I also think that I really love it. I think the music is great. I really like what it has to say. Maybe I think a lot of the criticisms for it were that it's been like the stuff that it says has been said before by the same director, and it's not told in a particularly effective way, and some of the areas of the movie are like redundant or derivative or stuff like that, and I can definitely agree with that, but I don't care. I still love it. I think it's a really solid movie. I encourage people to watch it. I can't imagine anyone hating this movie. But there's also a person in this chat that hates Uncut Gems for some reason. And I really love this movie. I think it's my heart was so full leaving the theater the first time I saw it. Most of it was because it was the first movie I've ever seen in IMAX. And this is one hell of a movie to see in IMAX because it's just all gorgeous hand-drawn animation. This is one hell of a movie to see in IMAX, and it was gorgeous. I loved it. I hope you like it. I highly recommend it. Belle, it's a good movie. It's a retelling of Beauty. It's a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, but it also adds like virtual reality and like a metaverse aspect to it. It's really weird. It shouldn't work. The whole time I was watching it, I was just like, this shouldn't work. This makes no sense. So much of this is just like so dumb, but I loved it. And there are parts of it where I'm just like, wow, this really isn't dumb. And there are parts of it where I was just like, wow, this is really dumb. But I recommend this movie. It's good. One of my favorite movie theater experiences ever. Belle, it's a good movie. Let's see. Holy shit, no way. That's crazy. That'd be funny. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm still reacting to baseball news. Oh man, that'd be hysterical. Anyway, so we're on a good streak. I've seen the last 2 movies I've talked about, but I'm afraid it's about to end because I haven't seen Bicycle Thieves. I don't know the director. The only reason I have this movie and bought it um, is because of the Criterion Closet. Because I watched the episode with Josh and Benny Safdie, who are the directors of Uncut Gems, and also directors of Good Time, which is a great movie. I think Benny Safdie was just in Licorice Pizza, Paul Thomas Anderson's new movie, which I really enjoyed. A lot of people really didn't, for reasons. um, let's not talk about that. Anyway, Josh and Benny Safdie did a Criterion Closet, and Josh Safdie said this is his favorite movie of all time. And I've heard nothing but raves about this movie. Honestly, I've just heard that it's one of the best movies ever made. And in the back of the box, it says, hailed around the world as one of the greatest movies ever made. Defined an era in cinema. So, I'm assuming that it has to be good. Just like Uncut Gems. Uncut Gems is a good movie. I'm saying that to piss someone off. But anyway, Bicycle Thief. I haven't seen it, but I've heard it's really good. So, I'm looking forward to watching it. I hope to report back with more that it's like the best movie ever, and those people are totally right. We'll see. But I bought it, so I'm talking about it. Black Orpheus. So another movie that I bought. So that's crazy. That's unbelievable. Um anyway, I'm still reacting to baseball. I'm sorry. This is such a mess. Um Black Orpheus I bought because Ethan Hawke gave it a shout out, but also um it won the Palme d'Or, and it won best foreign language film at the Academy Awards. Um and also Orpheus and Eurydice is my favorite Greek myth. It is for a number of reasons. One is the musical Hadestown. The other is the video game Hades. The other is the movie that I talked about last time, Portrait of a Lady on Fire. And I love that myth. And so I bought this movie, and I watched it yesterday for the first time. And I really liked it. It's on the road to hell, there was a railroad line. Um, I really like this movie. I think most of it is actually not about Orpheus and Eurydice. Most of it is actually about uh, Rio. It's a Portuguese movie. Uh, it was shot in Brazil. Most of it is about Carnival. Um, and the scenes of those are awesome. Like, it's so cool just seeing that. But it did take up like a lot of the movie. Um, it the setting, I think, was like the most prominent aspect of this movie, not so much the characters, which is fine. It's just not particularly what I was expecting or really looking for, I guess. But it was still really enjoyable. Um, uh, I mean, it's Orpheus and Eurydice. I love that myth, and it's in this movie, and it's really interesting, and the music is gorgeous, and the cinematography is gorgeous, and everything about this movie is just really gorgeous. Even the people in this movie are like particularly attractive. But yeah, I really like this movie. I would highly recommend. I think this is a really great start to watching foreign films, especially like if you're as into Greek myth, and or just not even if you know the myth of Orpheus and Eurydice. It's like a great start because um, there's not a lot of dialogue. There's quite a bit, but it's not. The dialogue isn't like. It isn't like the main thing that the film has going for it. I think the main thing the film has going for it is its setting and its imagery, and both of those are amazing in this film. So I recommend this if anyone's looking to get into foreign films but doesn't really know where to start, because this is I think it's just very friendly to that kind of viewer. And I'm kind of like a step above that. I think I'm not like I am by no means a foreign film aficionado. Um, I'm writing Orpheus down. That looks like something I'm really enjoy. It's a really solid movie. Um, it's I think I'm by no means an expert in foreign cinema, but I also like have seen quite a few foreign films. And this I think is just it's very like it's really solid. Um, and I think I feel like it's a great gateway to that kind of realm of if like subtitles are the main thing that's keeping you from watching, or if it's just like I'm really looking to get into it, but I just don't know where to start. I think this is where you should start. Because I think it. I don't know why. I mean, I do know why. I think it because it's mostly about like the beautiful imagery and about the culture, and it, especially if you're familiar with the story, it's something you'd be able to understand that, and or something you'd be comfortable with, you know. Um, so yeah, the Black Orpheus is a really good movie. Um, anyway, and the other movie that I watched yesterday, I watched 5 movies yesterday because I did nothing but travel for 15 hours, and so I downloaded like 5 movies and I watched all of them. I watched that Black Orpheus. I watched the entire Before trilogy with Ethan Hawke, which was all of those movies are really solid. If you're looking for a trilogy to watch that is not as ginormous as the Lord of the Rings trilogy, which I have yet to embark on. The Before trilogy is a really like nice light romance trilogy. It's very interesting. It's basically just people talking for like an hour and a half in each movie. It's really entertaining. But I watched those movies, and I also watched Double Indemnity, which I'd heard about for a long time because I wanted to get into film noir, and this was the top of every list for the best film noir ever. Um, and so I kept it in the back of my head. I never really thought about it too much until I watched Some Like It Hot, which I talked about in the last Criterion Christmas. Um, be- because Some Like It Hot is directed by Billy Wilder, and so is Double Indemnity. Um, and so this most recent sale, I bought it, um, and I watched it on the car ride home yesterday, and I really enjoyed it. It's another. I mean, the dialogue in this is just so solid. Like it's so snappy. Um, I haven't seen Some Like It Hot in a while, so I don't know if it's like as fluid in that movie. Um, I think the comedy. I mean, this is not a comedy. Some Like It Hot is, and I think the main thing that Some Like It Hot has going for it is its comedy, and it is a really funny movie. But there's so much more to it than that. And this is a really like the dialogue in this is really solid. Like really solid. Like some of the best written dialogue. Like has dialogue ever been more perfectly hard boiled? Is the first line on the back of this. Um, and I think the characters are. I think the other thing that this movie has going for it too, is its characters. I think they're really interesting. Um, but I feel like there's. I don't want to say it's more one-dimensional because it isn't. And I've only seen it once, and that was like at the end of a long road trip, so I might have been a little harsh on it. But I feel like there are more layers to Some Like It Hot. This I was kind of able to like grasp everything, or everything that I wanted to, and there wasn't much more to it than that. But again, I just saw it yesterday, so this opinion might change. But I highly recommend it, especially if you're looking for like a good old like old Hollywood 1940s 1950s like, and definitely film noir. This is a really good film noir movie. It's like totally just like it smelled like murder and stuff like that. Like there's like totally a couple of those lines in here. And the dialogue is like fantastic. Um, anyway, yeah, Double Indemnity. I recommend it. Really good. Oh boy, we got another 3-hour movie here. Drive My Car. This is a film by Ryusuke Hamaguchi. It just won the Oscar for Best Foreign Feature. It was nominated for Best Picture. I love this movie. I was told that I probably wasn't going to like this movie because it's 3 hours, and the film reviewer I was watching online said that the characters were not as compelling as he had hoped them to be, and it being 3 hours was not did not help that. But I saw this movie at Lincoln Center in New York City, because I try to watch as many Best Picture nominees as I can. This year I watched all 10 of them, and this was one of them. I saw it at Lincoln Center because that was the only theater I could find near me that it was being shown at. I went to it and I loved it. It's a really just it's just a good movie. Like I was picking up what it was putting down, you know. I mean, I just think it's a very like wholesome and also just kind of like it's a movie that's filled with so much hope, you know. And it's like a very cynical movie. It's a very thoughtful movie. It's a big time investment. And it's definitely not for everyone. But I really enjoyed it. I recommend it. I personally like this movie better than the film that won Best Picture. That's just me, and also it's not my favorite thing that was nominated for Best Picture, but it was one of my favorites. Yeah, I really like this movie. It has very just criticisms, but it resonated with me, and because of that, I think it's really good. So, yeah, this is one of my favorite films from last year. It is. So, yeah, I bought it. I bought it in the most recent sale. I'm gonna try and start saying when I bought these movies, by the way. I might not remember all of them, but I'll try my best. But yeah, Drive My Car. It's good. That's gonna be my film review for most of these. It's good. I'd be an excellent film critic. Eraserhead. We talked about this last time. David Lynch. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of David Lynch. That's something that most film students say. Like, you've probably never heard of David Lynch. In reality, David Lynch is a very famous film director, especially for film majors, pretentious film majors such as myself. But I had never seen a David Lynch movie before, and this was his first one, and so I figured I'd see it. I bought it. But Sam and his film bro arc. What do you mean you haven't seen David Lynch, bro? God. But Eraserhead. So I talked about this last time. I hadn't seen it, and I have since seen it. I saw it on my plane ride to London. That was an overnight flight, and I watched this movie in the overnight section of that trip. And if you've ever seen this movie, oh boy, is that a time to watch this movie. This movie's fucking nuts. It's so weird. Like, it's just, I mean, it's not, it's like, I have no idea how to even talk about this movie. I liked it. It was really compelling, but I also have no idea what it's about. I mean, it's good, like, that they included this freaking book. Like, look at this. I'm gonna have to read this because, again, very little clue what that movie was about, but it was really entertaining. I was captivated for the entire hour and a half that I watched it. I wanted to understand what was going on. I know that's not Brendan Fraser, but I always think it is. Huh. Brendan Fraser, huh? Let me pull that up. Brendan. Yeah, it does kind of look like Brendan Fraser. It's not though, right? Yeah, no, it's not. It's John Nance. But yeah, I want to read like everything about this movie because I really want to know what it's about, and I want to know like what David Lynch has to say about it and his justification for why it's so goddamn weird. But I really enjoyed it. I was entertained throughout the entire period, and honestly, that's all I can ask for at the end of the day. I'm having a real difficult time putting this movie back in place, which is annoying. Like I'm having a difficult time like putting it back how it's supposed to go. Did I do it? Did I do it right? Hold on. More entertainment. I'm so good at entertaining people. No, that doesn't seem right either. God. What's going on here? Oh, is that what was the problem? Is that... Or is this, like, box just sick of me now? I don't know. This is annoying. I'm not sure why this is giving me so much trouble. Anyway, Eraserhead is a good movie. I'd be interested to... Definitely thought it was Brendan Fraser. Yeah, he looks like him. I'd be interested to know what people thought of this movie. It seems like a film that would be pretty divisive because it's another movie that relies pretty heavily on interpretation. And I love movies like those. I think that's kind of why that's why I love talking about movies, is just like seeing what people interpret from different movies. That's why I love Persona so much, you know. We talked about Persona a little in the last Criterion, but since in the last Criterion Christmas, but since then I've written not one but 2 research papers about it. I'm not going to be talking about it, but one of the reasons I love it so much is because it's like a highly interpretable film. I have no idea what's going on, but I took it out and it's just refusing to go back in. That's what she said. Anyway, I'm just gonna leave this be for now, and I'll figure it out after the stream. We have more movies to talk about. Another movie that I talked about in the last Criterion Christmas, Good Morning. This is a Yasuhiro Ozu film, another big name Japanese director, similar to Hayao Miyazaki and Akira Kurosawa. Ozu is definitely one of those. This is the first Ozu I watched. I since have watched 2 other ones. I watched Tokyo Story and I Was Born But, all of them were good, not great. I think Ozu's way of filmmaking is not ever something that I don't know if it's something that I've ever loved. You know, it's not. I like it. I think Tokyo Story is my favorite film that I've watched of his. Um, and it's really, they're all really solid. And you could totally see his influence on film in like any film you watch. You'll see. I like see like pillow shots or just like the way that he films conversations is like so identifiable, and so you can totally see how he influenced film. It's I just it's the same thing with this movie and the same thing with the other two I've watched. They just have always had like they've connected with me, but there's also been levels where they haven't. Um, I watched this film also in St. Martin. Uh, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I watched it pretty early in the morning, but I still really enjoyed it. It was really funny, really sweet. I recommend it. This is another movie I recommend. Oh, what happened? What happened? Am I still? Am I streaming? Yeah, I'm. My my OBS just freeze. You guys are still here? We still good? Um, I think we're all good. It says I looked at my YouTube channel and stream buffer dropped frames for a couple seconds, but you're back now. Cool. Um, so yeah, good morning. I watched it in St. Martin. This is another film that I recommend for anyone who's like interested in or watching more international films because it's another film that's kind of welcoming for different reasons than Black Orpheus. It's just not a very like heavy story. I mean, it has like most of it is like fart humor, which is great, and that's why I wanted to watch it in the first place because that feels like an American thing to me. But it's in this movie, and it's really good. And there's more to it than that. And it's just I recommend it. It's a good movie, solid movie. All of Ozu's movies just feel solid. That's just my take on Ozu. But I've also only seen 3 of his films, and he's made like 5 million. But that's me. His Girl Friday. I bought this in the most recent sale. Michaela says hi. Hi, Michaela. Why aren't you watching the stream? Hi, Shay. Why aren't you watching the stream? Or are you watching it with K? Just K. Just the letter K. Are you watching it with them? I don't know. Are you all huddled around a computer or a phone watching me talk about the Blu-rays that I spent an amount of money on? We are watching. Good. Hi. I miss you guys. Anyway, His Girl Friday. We are always watching. Big Brother is always watching. So I had heard about this ever since I wanted to get into watching movies. We are Venom. I've heard about this movie ever since I got into watching movies. I am having a brain fart. I had heard about this movie ever since I started to like get into movies. I bought it in the most recent Criterion sale, but I'd actually already seen it because we had to watch it for my film history class. And geez Louise, this movie is fucking awesome. But it's also like really overwhelming. Like this movie is just over half an hour long, but there is enough dialogue in this movie to fill like 3 hours. But the way it gets away with it in half that time is because it's spoken so fast. Like the movie is literally just like it's literally that. But it's awesome. Like it's so good and it's so like interesting, and we had a like really interesting conversation about like why this movie is so effective and what parts of it are effective and the history behind it. This is kind of like emblematic of a period in cinema where like you have like this movie, which is kind of a headlining movie with like, Cary Grant, directed by Howard Hawks. But it would also be pushed with like a bunch of like lame movies, and the reason it would do that is because they're all owned by the same company. Anyway, this movie's really good. I highly recommend it. It's came out in 1940. Really funny, really interesting, but it will feel like you're riding a roller coaster. Not because it is actually a roller coaster. The plot is actually kind of straightforward, but just the dialogue, it literally feels like it's just like, phew, just like in your face. But it's so good. I love this movie a lot. But yeah, His Girl Friday. Good. Recommend it. Is Kay still in the chat? Because we have a movie to talk about. Howl's Moving Castle. The first time I saw this movie, I had just recently moved to New York for college, and they were having a Ghibli night at Pace. And this was the movie we ended up watching. There was a specific one that I was pushing for in particular, which we will talk about later. But this is the one that we ended up watching, and I'm glad we did because I had never seen it. And I really enjoyed. This is one of my favorite Ghibli movies now. It's really solid. And we watched the English dub, and man, that is Billy Crystal, Christian Bale, like, damn. Anyway, this is a really solid movie. It's a Ghibli movie. Hayao Miyazaki. It's another anime film. But it's really good. And it's also the first time I met a good friend of mine. So, that's that. I like this movie a lot. It's very cute. Very cute. I'm betting now you wanted to watch Grave of the Fireflies. No. Yeah, that's a perfect icebreaker movie. Grave of the Fireflies. No, actually, I had not seen Grave of the Fireflies yet. I have since seen Grave of the Fireflies. Very good movie. Really depressing. Not something I would want to watch with people I had never met before. I also don't think it's on HBO Max, which is how we ended up watching it. That is really funny. Anyway, yeah, we'll talk about. I own the movie that I wanted to watch, and I'll talk about it in a little bit. But yeah. Anyway, next movie is Love and Basketball. Or back to Criterion's. Love and Basketball. This is one of my favorite sports movies ever. It's also one of my favorite films directed by a woman, Gina Price Bythewood. I think I'm saying that right. This is a great movie, man. I really recommend this movie to like someone like me who's a little like more pretentious about film than they used to be and wants to like pursue high art, whatever the hell that means, but also really enjoy sports films. I mean, Major League is my favorite sports film, and that is so not a high art film. It's like, but it's awesome. I love Major League. But I love this. I think this movie is a really solid blend of both. It's a really fascinating story. It's not a true story, but I think the story that is presented is fascinating. I think the characters are fascinating, and there's a lot of depth to them. There's a lot of depth to the world that Gina created in this film. I just really don't have enough good things to say about this movie. I bought this during the flash sale. And I had already seen it before. I saw it in my senior year of high school when I was just trying to watch as many different movies as possible. And this is one of them. I watched this with a bunch of other sports movies, and this one stood out because I just thought it was awesome. I still think it's awesome. It's really good, so I bought it. Pan's Labyrinth. I haven't seen it. This is one that I'm really ashamed about. This is Guillermo del Taco, who directed The Shape of Water, um, Nightmare Alley, other movie, Pacific Rim, and other stuff. And he's also a part of that Mexican Mexican trifecta of directors, along with Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu and Alfonso Cuarón. Um, I still haven't seen this movie, and I'm really upset about it because it looks like something I'd really enjoy. I've heard nothing short of that it's amazing and like kind of a masterpiece. Hellboy 1 and 2, yes, the Hellboy films. Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed Nightmare Alley. I thought it was great. That's the only film of his that I've seen, unfortunately. This is the movie that I've heard the most about. I've been meaning to watch it. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. This is the movie that I think I bought most recently that I'm upset that I haven't seen. I did like just buy it, but I just haven't gotten around to watching it. But yeah, Pan's Labyrinth. I'm really looking forward to watching that. I've heard nothing but like raves about this movie. So Paris is Burning. Okay, you would really like this movie. Actually, I think Michaela, I don't know if they've seen this movie, but they were supposed to see this movie, because it was part of our lit culture and media class, which is how we met. That the one with David Bowie? I don't think so. I don't remember David Bowie. It's not about David Bowie. Um, the behind the scenes for Pans about the puppetry and practical effects is stunning. I'll be sure to check that out. Um, the like the stuff I've seen of it, of like the practical effects and puppetry, is by itself stunning. So I'm looking for. I really am upset I haven't seen that movie. This movie I have seen because I had to watch it for class. No, the Labyrinth one was it? It was. Oh, I got you. I understand. I'm just behind. Um, but yeah. I watched this movie for a class. Um, and I don't think I watched all of it until I bought this during the Criterion flash sale. This is just a really good documentary about what queer, drag, trans life was like back in the 1980s and Harlem, and like what drag balls were like, and just what that whole is fascinating. And it's so like cool to me because me being born in the 21st century, queer culture and like gay rights and like trans people and gay people and like all these LGBTQ stuff all feels very recent because of the legalization of gay marriage. And people like, Jazz Jennings, Laverne Cox, all these like gay and like, obviously gay celebrities like Neil Patrick Harris and Ellen. But all that stuff feels very recent because it's now mainstream. But it's just fascinating to see that it's been a part of us for so long. And I'm a huge fan of the musical Rent, and that musical also makes it quite clear that it's been here for a long time. But in this one, it's a documentary, so you see it firsthand. And it's a really powerful film. I really love this movie. Yeah, I recommend it. It's really short too, only 76 minutes. So if you're looking for just like a over an hour documentary that to turn on and watch and learn something about queer culture, I recommend this. It's really good. we have another anime movie, and it's not a Ghibli film. There's another film under an hour and a half, Perfect Blue. This is a crazy movie. It's also really good. This is kind of like Persona, but also not really. That's probably not an apt comparison. Yeah, this is a crazy movie. It's by Satoshi Kon, who directed Paprika, which is very much like Inception. He also directed Tokyo Godfathers, Millennium Actress. He's a very prolific Japanese director, one of the most prolific that's not named Hayao Miyazaki. But this was his first film, and it's fantastic. It's really good. I loved it the moment I saw it, and I saw that there was a steelbook available for it, so I bought it. What a throwback. It's so good, man. Like, this is just such a good movie. They like just released vinyl of the soundtrack, and I wanted it. The soundtrack in particular was like nothing I particularly remember, but like the soundtrack, the like vinyls themselves are like so gorgeous. But that's complete aside. This is a really good movie. I haven't seen Requiem for a Dream, which is a Darren Aronofsky film, but I've heard that there's like a scene that's like pretty much pulled from this, and the reason for that is because Darren Aronofsky had the rights to like do a live action Perfect Blue remake. I'll have to watch Requiem of a Dream. I still haven't seen it. But Perfect Blue I have seen, and it's phenomenal. It's like so. It's like, I want to say it's like one of the more artistically complex, at least from a film and like editing perspective. Like, obviously all the Ghibli films are like so beautifully and complexly drawn, but Perfect Blue, from like the way the story moves, is really complex and really interesting and really awesome. So yeah, I really recommend it if you're into stuff like that. But it's also very mature. There's some stuff. There's some stuff in this movie that you definitely want to make sure you are okay with stuff like that before you watch it. That's all I'll say. But it's really good. I think it's worth it. Picnic at Hanging Rock. This is a movie I haven't seen, but I bought it because it's directed by Peter Weir. And Peter Weir, I bought it during the most recent Criterion sale. And I bought it for a couple of reasons. One is because Peter Weir directed The Truman Show and Dead Poet Society. Both movies that I absolutely love. I think they're amazing, and when I found out he directed both of those, it like blew my mind. So his name entered my head. I also watched The Criterion Closet with Slavoj Žižek, whose name is very hard to pronounce, but he's like this philosopher, but he also has a really awesome Criterion Closet movie, and he shouted this movie out, specifically calling out Peter Weir. So it like entered my radar. And just recently, Peter Weir was announced to receive an honorary Oscar. So I figured I have to get it now. I still haven't seen it, but I cannot wait. I've heard nothing but good things. I love Peter Weir movies, so looking forward to it. Hope to have more to say about it next time. Now, here's the movie you were waiting for, Jack. It is not Grave of the Fireflies, but it is Ponyo. A highly controversial Ghibli film, but it is also kind of my favorite. I don't know if that's the case anymore, but it's the first one I ever watched. I watched this when I was very young. Very, very young. This was one of the movies that I had Um, we had like an old DVD player in my car, and somehow we got this movie, and we just watched it forever. And when like, you know, that cover for Ponyo is so cute. Look at her go. She's the best. I love this movie. Um, I still love this movie. I rewatched it because I actually rewatched it for a very sad reason. I rewatched it on Betty White's when you were in theaters. That's awesome. I don't think I ever saw it in theaters, but I saw it when I was a kid. And for a long time, it was like the only Ghibli movie I had ever seen because it's like the one that's the most for kids. Um, I rewatched it recently on Betty White's most recent birthday because Betty White is in this movie, and it was her 100th birthday that she didn't get to see, unfortunately, because she passed away on New Year's Eve. And so I watched this. I also donated like money to the World Wildlife Fund in her name. And I rewatched it, and I still love it. It's probably not a good movie, but I love it. I watched it. I loved it when I was a kid, and I love it now. I just think it's adorable. It's super cute. Look at Ponyo. Look at her. She's adorable. And Tina Fey is in this movie. Matt Damon is in this movie. Liam Neeson is in this movie. You forget that like all the Ghibli dubs were like produced by Disney, so it's just crazy that the names that they pull up. And Noah Cyrus voices Ponyo. This is something I found interesting. The Princess Bride. We've talked about this movie before, but I am including it to remind you that it is the best movie ever. The real reason I'm including it is to say that despite all the new movies I have watched, and I've watched quite a few movies, especially ones that I've had profound impacts. In fact, now is a good time. I talked about Belle, seeing that in IMAX. My favorite movie theater experience I've ever had was a couple days before my birthday. I saw Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's one of its New York City premieres. It was like one of the first days it was available in theaters. I saw it in IMAX, and there was a Q&A with the directors afterwards. And that movie's fucking amazing. I love that movie, and I loved seeing it. It was one of my favorite theater experiences. And it's so far, that's my favorite movie I've seen this year. But despite all that, despite all the new movies I've seen, this is still my favorite movie ever. I love this movie. I love The Princess Bride. That's the only reason I included it, just to say that it's one of my favorites. Actually, I didn't include it, but Persona, I think I talked about it a little bit. I talk about Persona a lot. Persona, I would actually say, is my second favorite movie ever now. Right behind The Princess Bride. Just because I've thought about that movie so much, and I think it's just so perfect when it comes to talking about what I love about movies. And that's why I love it so much. And that has come after a bunch of writing and thinking about it, and also seeing it a bunch of times. But yeah, Princess Bride number 1, Persona number 2. We got another anime. Princess Mononoke. It's another Ghibli film. It's like nice and light, right? Ghibli films never have anything violent in them. Wrong. This movie's about war. This movie is great. I've been told by many people who are really into anime, and I've also watched a lot of anime YouTubers who say that this is their favorite and the best Ghibli movie. And I think I kind of agree with them. This is just a really solid movie. I think it's probably the most emotionally complex out of any of the Ghibli films that I've seen, aside from Grave of the Fireflies, I think. The art is obviously gorgeous. It's just a really well done movie. It's also awesome and really like it's very good. It's also very mature, and very violent. But it's great. I recommend this movie. It's awesome. Princess Mononoke. It's hard to not recommend a Ghibli movie unless it's like Earwig and the Witch, which I haven't seen, but I heard it's the like computer animated one and it looks terrible. Raging Bull. This is directed by a guy named Martin Scorsese. I don't know if you like this. He's kind of like a not very well known director, but he said something like really weird about Marvel movies once. It's weird. It also stars a guy called Robert De Niro. He's been in a bunch of movies, but I don't think he's really well known. Um, uh, Seriously though, this is my favorite Scorsese. I think. I like it more than Goodfellas. I like it more than Taxi Driver. Um, both those movies are good. I just like. I think this one is better. Um, I think De Niro is better in all those movies than he was in Taxi Driver and in Goodfellas. Um, the only one that I think that this is gonna sound horrible and really incriminate myself, but the this is my favorite Scorsese, but it's also tied and also like kind of trails behind it sometimes with The Wolf of Wall Street. Um, that movie is awesome. I love The Wolf of Wall Street so much. It's 3 hours of just the most debaucherous nonsense ever. And just Leonardo DiCaprio just being a horrible person and Jonah Hill being a horrible person. But I love that movie. It's so goddamn entertaining. And so that's probably my favorite Scorsese, but this is also probably my favorite Scorsese. I think this is the most well-rounded, most well-done Martin Scorsese film. And it just recently got a Criterion release, so I bought it. That was a recent Criterion purchase, by the way, very recent. Um, okay, I got a film for you. Smiles of a Summer Night. So the reason I say it's for you is because not only is it by Ingmar Bergman, who's a Swedish film director who also directed Persona, but it also is the film that is the basis for the Stephen Sondheim musical Little Night Music. That's the reason I bought it. I bought this film at the end of the last, not the most recent, but the Criterion's sale before the last Criterion Christmas. I talked about this film in the last Criterion Christmas, but I hadn't seen it. It's I bought it because Stephen Sondheim had just passed away. And I thought watching this film would be a good way to commemorate him, even though he doesn't really have anything inherently to do with this movie. But also because it's Ingmar Bergman. And this is a good movie. It's very light. It's not as dense as Persona. This is a very light. It's an erotic comedy, and it's really funny, really interesting. Yeah, I like this movie a lot. I'd watch it again. It's really funny. Yeah, Ingmar Bergman is a good director. Spirited Away. This is a Studio Ghibli movie. It's also probably it's the most famous Studio Ghibli movie. It's the one that won Best Animated Feature at the Oscars. And it's also probably my favorite. I could say that for a bunch of Ghibli movies. Like Grave of the Fireflies probably had like the most impact on me, so maybe that's my favorite. But Ponyo's the one I grew up with. But Princess Mononoke is weirdly the one that I think is the most well done. But I saw this movie in theaters, not when it first came out. I don't think I was born yet, but I saw it in the events that they do where they bring Ghibli movies to the theaters. And I saw Spirited Away, and I thought it was great. I still think it's great. and I think it's the most well known for a reason, and the reason is that it's really good. Yeah, I love this movie. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. If you have to watch one Ghibli movie, maybe make it this one. I don't know. Time Bandits. Maybe the most famous animated movie ever, along with Snow White and Frozen. Yeah, it's up there. I think, oh, man, that's like a completely different discussion, but I can entertain that thought for a few minutes before I talk about Time Bandits. Uh, Most famous. It's by far the most famous Japanese animated movie. I know Your Name has sold more tickets, but more people know about Spirited Away than Your Name. Um, I think in terms of all of animation, I think movies like Shrek, uh, Frozen, Toy Story, the computer animated films that came out at around the same time, uh, kind of hold a lot more weight, um, than Spirited Away, at least historically. Um, but when it comes to anime, just, like, untouched. Anyway, so Time Bandits, I bought this film during the flash sale. Um, I bought it because actually I I bought it because I Criterion did a thing of just like, tell us your favorite movie and we'll tell you what movie to buy during the Criterion flash sale. And they responded to me. I said my favorite movie is The Princess Bride, and they said you should watch Time Bandits. And so I bought it because they told me to. I'm that much of a consumer. um, but I watched it. It's actually one of my dad's favorite movies. My dad really loves this movie. So we watched it as a family, and I really enjoyed it. It's also directed by Terry Gilliam. Gilliam? I don't know. But he was a big part of Monty Python. He directed Monty Python or the Holy Grail. He also has like a whole different career as a film director. He directed a movie called Brazil, which is probably his most famous and most critically acclaimed movie, and probably the movie I should have started with, but this is the movie I ended up starting with. I will watch Brazil eventually. I was thinking about buying it, but I didn't. But I've always really looked up to Terry Gilliam, even like before I watched his movies, not just because of Monty Python, but because he's like the most perseverant. I don't know if that's a word, but he's the most persistent film director in the world. Like, just look up any of like the stories behind any of his films, and he's always like rebelling against like a corporation or a producer or like a production company or distributor. Is crazy. And he fought for 30 years to get The Man Who Killed Don Quixote made, his most recent film. And I heard it was not that good, but just what he went through to get it made was really respectable. And so his stories are ones that I really admire, and his like the way he has the way he's lived his life when it comes to his creative pursuits and always persisting with his artistic endeavors is something that I really look up to, and something I hope to emulate in my career, whatever that is. But yeah, so in Time Bandits is a good movie, by the way. I really enjoyed it. It's very light, but it's also very funny, very enjoyable, and I liked it. The Royal Tenenbaums. This is a Wes Anderson movie that I talked about in the last Criterion Christmas, and I have since watched it, and it's really good. It's a really good movie. Wes Anderson's a really good director. Um, yeah, I really like this movie. I feel like every Wes Anderson movie I watch is like my favorite Wes Anderson movie. Um, I love this movie. I love Fantastic Mr. Fox. I love Grand Budapest Hotel. Um, love Isle of Dogs. Love Moonrise Kingdoms. Um, yeah, he's just a really great director, and I love this movie. I think like this is one of my. This is like, if you asked me like, is The Royal Tenenbaums your favorite Wes Anderson movie? I'd be like, yep, it is. But then if you ask me like, is Moonrise Kingdoms your favorite Wes Anderson? Yep. Fantastic Mr. Fox? Yep. They're all such good movies, and so like you can always tell that they're directed by him, but they're also so different. Wes Anderson's a great director. He's one of my favorites. And this is a great movie. It's also really dark. Like there's like not the whole thing, but like there's a part of it that's like really dark, and I was just like, whoa, that came out of nowhere. But yeah, this is a really great movie. I think if I had to pick one, Moonrise Kingdoms is probably still my favorite. Moonrise Kingdoms. I never know how to say the name of that movie, but that's probably still my favorite. But this is like, might be like one of the most well done movies he's made, at least from a story perspective. I think this might be the best story he's told. This is The Royal Tenenbaums. That's just my opinion, though. I really like this movie. We're getting to the end of the just like single DVDs, but there's more to it. Oh shit! I totally forgot when we were talking about Spirited Away. Actually, it's because I actually have more than just movies to show you. I have a couple of like books and stuff too, and other things. But Spirited Away in particular, I bought that like kind of completely randomly along with a bunch of other Ghibli steelbooks. But when I was in London, there were like Japanese convenience stores, and we went into them just to see what they were like. And in one of them, I found this, The Art of Spirited Away. And I actually stopped by a comic book shop later, and I stopped by a comic shop later, and it had like this, and also The Art of Princess Mononoke, and like The Art of like Ponyo or something like that, or like stuff like all the Ghibli movies. But this was the first one I saw initially, and so it's the one I bought. And I'm glad I did, because not only does it have art, but it has like a transcript of the entire screenplay. So that's cool. That's just a cool thing about Spirited Away that I bought. I also, has nothing to do with movies, but I just wanted to show the comic books I bought while I was in the UK. I bought a Sarah Scribbles collection. If you don't follow Sarah Scribbles on Twitter, I recommend it. And I also, this was not in London. I bought this on Amazon, but I bought this in London. I bought The Killing Joke, which is one of my favorite Batman comics, and then I bought Mad Love on Amazon because Mad Love is my favorite Batman comic. That was a brief aside to talk about comics. Anyway, we are back to Blu-rays and movies. Throne of Blood was a film that I talked about in the last Criterion Christmas. I bought it for the same class that I bought, or the same class that I watched. I haven't been to a comic shop in so long. If you ever want to talk comics, I'm here, my guy. I'm not a big comic guy. I am into a lot of things that surround comics. Like I love superheroes, and I love certain things that like have spawned from comics, like Scott Pilgrim. But I've never really delved into just comic books. But I'm trying to change that. I know Killing Joke was written by Alan Moore, who I've heard is really good at writing comics. So I'm going to try and read more things like him, and I'm also going to try and read Why the Last Man at some point. Anyway, back to movies. So Throne of Blood, I talked about it in the last Criterion Christmas. Akira Kurosawa, very famous Japanese director, probably the most famous Japanese director probably the most acclaimed Japanese director. This is his Macbeth adaptation. I watched it and I thought it was really solid. It wasn't as memorable as I thought it was going to be, but I still really enjoyed it. I don't really have that much more to say about it. I kind of want to rewatch it because I feel like I didn't get the whole experience, but it's a really good movie. So yeah, and it's Macbeth. So, and then the last single Blu-ray that I have not talked about in either this Criterion Christmas or the last one is Y Tu Mama Tambien, which is I bought it in the most recent Criterion sale. It's a film by Alfonso Cuarón, who is the director of Roma, and what else did he direct? Gravity is a film that he directed. He also directed Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, which is weird for some reason. But this is I bought this movie because I wanted to buy one movie from the trifecta of Mexican directors. He was the last one that I hadn't bought. And so I bought this one because it was one of the Criterions he owns. I didn't buy Roma because it's on Netflix, but I'll probably still buy Roma at some point. I have not seen it, but I've been told that the best Alfonso Cuarón movie is Children of Men. I haven't seen it, but that's what I've heard. But it didn't have a Criterion, so I bought this one. I still haven't seen it. Looking forward to watching it. Alfonso Cuarón is a very famous director. And yeah. So that is it for just the single Blu-rays, but I have a couple more things I want to show you, if that's okay. A couple of them are Blu-rays, a couple of them are books, and I think there's one other thing I wanted to show you that they all have something to do with movies. The first is this bad boy right here. This is a box set, which is a collector's edition for the film A Silent Voice. So if you are into anime, or if you're into anime, you might know a studio called Kyoto Animation. They produced this movie. I watched it for a really random reason. I saw a screenshot of one of the scenes in a YouTube video that had nothing to do with A Silent Voice. But I saw a screenshot of one of the scenes and I was just like, that looks beautiful. And the name of the movie wasn't listed in the credits. I looked up where it came from, and it came from A Silent Voice, and I watched it. I thought it was great. And then, I thought it was a really good movie, and then it just kind of stuck with me, and stuck with me, and stuck with me, and now it's my favorite animated movie ever. It took that title away from The Incredibles, which held that title for years, most of my life. I still love The Incredibles, but this took the reins from it, and it's why I bought the collector's edition, which I believe is the most I've ever spent on a Blu-ray. I think this had the highest price tag. It was not a bazillion dollars or anything crazy. It was not. It was I was able to buy it, but it was the most I've ever spent. But I love this movie. I think it's so good. I think it's the best anime movie I've ever watched. I think it's the best animated movie I've ever watched. I think I think a lot of that is because it resonates with me the most, but I think it's just great. I love this movie. And so I bought it. I bought the Blu-ray of it. Yeah, I highly recommend this. There's some things that it deals with some mature topics, but I think it's worth it. I love this movie. It means a lot to me, and yeah, I highly recommend it. I think it's better than Your Name. I do. I watched this before Your Name, so I might be a little biased, but I think this is better. My brother and I have discussions about Your Name a lot. Anyway, A Silent Voice. I love this movie. It comes with like a book and also a bunch of postcards. But yeah, A Silent Voice. I love it. Next is another box set, and it actually includes multiple movies. This is the John Cassavetes box set. This was the main thing I bought during the Criterion flash sale. Was this box set? It has Shadows, Faces, A Woman Under the Influence, The Killing of a Chinese Bookie, and Opening Night. All films are directed by John Cassavetes. John Cassavetes. I was never sure how to pronounce his name. The reason I bought this is, so the first time I heard about John Cassavetes was through all things, my pediatrician. My pediatrician talked to me. He's a big film guy. I've known him for years. He's really good friends with my dad. But he's really into movies. He gave me a lot of foreign film suggestions when I was like made a list of movies to watch. And he recommended him. He was just like, he's one of the most important names in American independent cinema. He specifically talked about A Woman Under the Influence. And so it was a name that stuck with me, and I got into the Criterion collection. And I started watching the Criterion Closet videos, and all of them pulled out this box set, or all of them just talked about John Cassavetes, or John Cassavetes, or however you say his name. And so I was just like, well, shit, I guess this guy is really something. So I bought this. I have not seen all of them. I've only seen 2 so far. Shadows is good, but it's very rough around the edges. Faces is much better. I've yet to see the other 3, but it's high on my list because they're all fascinating. He's a fascinating director. What I've read in this book is all fascinating. Yeah, he's a fascinating director. I've heard so much about him, so I bought the box set. Yeah. Criterion does a bunch of box sets of just like collections of movies based on a director, or like if there's a series, or like just a bunch of stuff. And so I wanted to buy, I've been looking to buy a couple more of those, and that was the main one. Anyway, so next is, oh boy, am I really going to talk about this movie again? Michaela, if you're still watching, I'm gonna talk about Midsummer now, because I bought the director's cut. It was like $45 or something, and I don't even like the movie that much. So I'll show off the other book I wanted to show off too. I have a book version of the screenplay for the film Hereditary. I bought it because there's also a foreword by Bong Joon-ho, who I talked about in the last Criterion Christmas. He's one of my favorite South Korean directors. But these 2 movies, Midsummer and Hereditary, are directed by the same guy, Ari Aster. I watched Hereditary first because that was his directorial debut. I loved it. It was like, it became my favorite horror movie ever. Still kind of is. I love Hereditary. I think it's amazing. And then I watched Midsummer because I'd heard so many good things about it. And I thought it was good, but it was also really long, and it was kind of boring, and it just kind of felt more like a spectacle than a story in some parts. It was still really good, and the imagery was awesome. Do you still have beef with Midsummer, Kay? I still do. Kind of. Mostly that the director's cut cost $45, but I bought it because I wanted to buy the Hereditary thing, and I figured might as well. There's a foreword by Martin Scorsese. I wanted to read that. I like this movie. I do. I really do like this movie. Florence Pugh does a really good job. And also, I can't remember the supporting actor's name, but he does an amazing job. And it's really, like, pretty. Cinematography's amazing. There were just parts of it where I wasn't a fan, which is a shame because I was blown away by Hereditary. So, yep, Midsommar. I'm talking about it again. I've talked about it before on my Instagram. I've talked to Jack about it. It's how much footage is added in the director's cut? So the director's cut is actually 3 hours long. And I have not watched the director's cut. I think there's some behind the scenes stuff as well. But yeah, I know the director's cut is like 3 hours long. I still haven't watched it, but I've been meaning to. Yeah, it's just really long by itself, you know? Yeah, so I have very mixed feelings about this movie. I've done a lot of thinking about it. It's still really influential, and I still think it's really good, but it does make me wary of Ari Aster, and kind of like his next film is going to be 4 hours long, not director's cut. It's just going to be 4 hours, but it has Joaquin Phoenix in it, and it's also not explicitly a horror. I think there's like comedy elements to it now as well. So I don't know. I'm wary going into it, but this movie by itself seemed like a movie that was more about spectacle than it was story. And that was something that was kind of the issue with like I thought about it in terms of the last film in the Dark Knight trilogy. Like the Dark Knight Rises is so much more about how big the like movie is, and less about, you know, the plot. And that was kind of my issue with Midsommar. Still a good movie, good enough to where I was willing to spend $45 on it. But yeah, Midsommar. I have the director's cut, and I also have a screenplay book of Hereditary, which I think is a better movie. But that's just me. That's it for things that have a movie attached to them. But there's actually one thing. I didn't pull it out, but let me just grab it real quick. Here it is. So I have this, which is the Last Night in Soho original motion picture soundtrack on vinyl. So I actually also have the West Side Story original cast recording on vinyl. Not the original cast recording, the original motion picture soundtrack on vinyl. And I talked about West Side Story last time because I have the collector's edition of it. But I wanted to talk about this because I bought it recently. So Last Night in Soho is a movie directed by Edgar Wright, who directed Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Baby Driver, Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead. He's a very talented director, and I've loved his movies for so long, and his particular editing style fits so well for horror, and this is like his first real like full-on horror movie, and so I was really looking forward to it. It was like my most anticipated movie of 2021, and I saw it in Dolby Vision Theater, not opening night but opening weekend, and I saw it and I thought it was really good, and then I kind of sat on it, and that coupled with reviews of it that kind of criticized it for some very suitable reasons led me to kind of have a more sour opinion on it. I still really like it. I think it has a really strong start, but I'm just not sold on the finish, you know? But I bought the soundtrack before I had a fully formed opinion on it. I probably wouldn't have bought it otherwise if I had like the fully formed opinion. But I actually am kind of glad I got it because The one thing I'm more than okay with saying is that the soundtrack for this movie is amazing, so good. And the best part of that movie for me, at least musically, is the use of the song "There's Always Something There to Remind Me," which is supposed to be a love song, but it's used very cleverly in the film. In a particular, I think it's a chase sequence. I can't remember. Yeah, I have a weird relationship with this movie. I love its soundtrack, which is why I have it, but um, the film itself, I'm a little bit more wary of, especially how it treats its specific subject matter. It's very strange. It's a very strange film. You'll have to watch it if you haven't seen it to come to your own conclusions. I liked parts of it. There are other parts that I'm not a big fan of, and I definitely understand a lot of the criticism and the hate it's got. I don't think it's horrible. I don't think it's as bad as some people have been saying, but it's not. It's probably my least favorite Edgar Wright film, which is unfortunate because I wanted it to be a lot better. That is it. I've shown everything I have. I mean, I guess I have this dragon. I went to Wales, so we got the dragon that's on the Wales flag. That's like the only other thing of note that I have with me. Yeah, that's it. That's all the Blu-rays, anything that I had related to movies. Um, that's it. So yeah, thank you so much for sticking around and watching and being a part of the comments in the chat. I really appreciate it. I'd love for this to be a regular thing because I am kind of you like the dragon, okay? Yeah, I like him too. I saw him immediately, and I was just like, I'm getting that. Um, anyway, yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed doing this. I want it to be a regular thing. Every 6 months, I show you all the movies that I have since watched that are in my physical collection, and we talk about, what they are, and good stream, says Shay. Thank you, Shay. I appreciate that. I'm hoping for this to be a regular thing. I don't really have any ideas at the moment for like other streams, but I have all this like equipment, so maybe it'll happen, but I have no plans for at the moment. But definitely gonna do another Criterion Christmas at some point because I will definitely spend more money than I really should on Blu-rays. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. If you're watching live now, or if you're watching later in the VOD, or whatever, however I make this accessible to people, I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you soon, whether that's in a new thing that I make, or just in the next Criterion Christmas, or if I see you in person. I have no idea. Criterion Christmas has to... That's not a terrible idea. But that is not an idea that's available to the public yet. So, I mean, it's not like a secret or anything, but we just haven't, like... Anyway, I'm getting off track. It's an inside... Goodbye. Bye. This is the end of the stream. Goodbye. Goodbye. Thank you for watching.